going on, everybody? Jeremy Ritz, Courage Pays Better Than Fear Trading, and it's time for NVIDIA earnings, and I'm going to get you set up for this Wednesday's earnings report from the King, all in this video. Let's go. All right, so Wednesday is a massive day for the stock market, not just for the company NVIDIA, but because we are going to get the earnings report. This is the last of the Mag 7 or the Mag 8 if you're counting Netflix, and you can see their earnings estimate, and you can see that they are going to be reporting this Wednesday at market close. This is for the period that's ending July 25th. And let's just take a look at the price action and where we are today. You could see that on this Monday, when I'm recording this video, NVIDIA is up $3, 1.68%. We did see some weakness come into NVIDIA before last week's Friday rally because of restrictions being placed on chips being sold to China. They were discontinuing the export of the H20 chips to China. And so that did cause a little bit of a weakness here, this selling down, which immediately got bought back up. And you can see today we are back over that 10-day exponential moving average. We are up near this all-time high. And at first glance at this chart, you would think that, hey, being extended up at all-time highs, we're getting ready for the month of September, which is historically the weakest month in the stock market, that we are going to crumble and we are going to fall off of a cliff. But keep in mind that NVIDIA has shown, at least over these last several years, that even if they are extended, even if they are pushed to the upside near all-time highs, they can continue to rally. And if we go back and look at 2024, and this was right before the split, they hit $1,000, you could see that they were hanging out near all-time highs. And what happened? They smashed higher and went on an even bigger run. So just because NVIDIA is up in rarefied air, that does not mean that a subsequent drop is on the table. However, we have to be prepared that both the bull case and bear case can play out. And if we are going to take a shot at NVIDIA over earnings, whether we're doing some type of options play with the spread or we're just outright buying calls or puts, that we understand potentially what can happen. And just from a technical basis, you could see that we are above really all the moving averages now, where we are above that 10. And we did get a little bit of a dip here that really finished up on Wednesday, August 20th, and you had buyers who stepped in. If we take a look at the RSI right now, we are not overbought. We see that the momentum is flipping up, and we can see that on the MACD, the momentum is starting to curl to the upside as well. And just going back and looking at the last few earnings reports for NVIDIA, we could see that the last time that they reported here in May, it did gap up, but sold down, consolidated sideways for a bit, and then that started this big massive move that we are in the middle of right now, because the AI trade is heating back up. People are getting excited about AI once again, and lots of money is flowing back in. So we could see a continuation of this upside push on NVIDIA before it's all said and done with. If we come over to February 26, when they reported prior to their May report, we could see that the result here was a gap up, but then that faded down hard. That was a very large candle that we had here from where it gapped up to where it closed. That's a shaved top and bottom candle. That was a $15.12 drop, an 11.21% decline. And that was around that DeepSeek controversy with the AI model out of China that was apparently being run on cheaper chips. So we had a move to the downside. So the last two moves, one up, fade down, and the time before that in February, up, fade down. So we had two up moves, fades down, the last two earnings report. So if we keep coming back here, we're going to come to November of 2024. And let's take a look at this guy and what happened here. So here is the candle. What did it do? It gapped up and faded down. So 3 gaps up and that were faded down the last 3 times that they reported. And I want to point this out too. This box that I have drawn on my screen here, this was a resistance range that for quite some time NVIDIA could not break out of. You could see that it tested this box, this range, on June 21st of 2024. And then from there, it kept trying to push through here, but it got rejected. And it wasn't until we come and look at June that it actually broke out. So just keep that in mind, that this thing could be poised for a push higher, because really it was sideways for over a year. So just keep that in mind. So if we come back to July of 2024, let's take a look at the result off of this earnings report. And we could see that July of 2024, this is when weakness came into the market last year. We had a gap down. And if we're looking for the last gap up on Nvidia, it's when it broke $1,000. That was May 22nd, where it gapped up and then it just went on this massive run. And that was after a period of consolidation. So potentially what we could see is something like what happened in May of 2024 when that split occurred. We had that big pop higher. So keep an eye on this one and what it can do. And again, just because everybody is saying, oh, the market's extended, things are frothy, the valuations of these companies are exorbitant, that doesn't mean that they cannot continue to push higher, because they absolutely can. And the whole saying of the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent is true. And so just looking at this and thinking about how the AI trade has come back into focus, how there's a lot more momentum. We're seeing lots of dollars being put into this trade. The upside, we see that prices are being increased in terms of what the expectations are. We can see here that Baird Capital raised their price target to 225 from 195. We are a ways off of that. So we could see a big move on Nvidia. And really, what we want to keep in mind here heading into this report is, what are they going to say about the impact of tariffs? Is Jensen Huang going to talk about how tariffs have impacted the company? Is he going to talk about the relationship with China? Is he going to talk about his discussions with President Trump in terms of opening up that market? Or what are the resolutions that are going to come out of that? Are we seeing that still existing demand for AI chips? All those things we want to pay attention to. We want to see that desire, the hunger for chips, these companies wanting compute power that's still in existence and that it's increasing. And if we get that strong forward guidance, if we get that there are being positive moves made with President Trump, deals being made with China, that they're going to ease restrictions, then we can see this thing fly even higher. And if we don't, if we get let's say a miss and they don't beat their earnings, or if they don't have great forward guidance, then we're going to see this come down. And the other thing about Nvidia, they are so strong. They are held to really an unachievable standard where they have to be perfect in order to really get a bump off of earnings. And they're going to have to do that in this report. They have to be perfect in order for a gap up to occur. And is that going to happen? I'll let you know here in a second in terms of what I think. But if we're looking at the bull case and bear case, again, I talked about this range that existed for quite some time and how this was a resistance that Nvidia could not break through. If we do get rejected, and if Nvidia does in fact come down, the area we want to see a bounce is somewhere within this range. And we do have that 100 SMA on the daily here at 143. We could see a move downwards to that 100 SMA, some consolidation, and then who knows what will happen from there, especially if we get broader market weakness. And keep in mind, September is the weakest month of the year. This is typically a weak time for chips. But what I will say is that we have flown in the face of seasonality this year. August is supposed to be weak as well, but we haven't seen that weakness stick, and things have been strong. The AI trade is back on. And so I do think it is more likely that we see a gap up on Nvidia than we do see a gap down. And the reason why, we broke through that resistance that has been there for quite some time. It has been moving sideways. It has dropped significantly, but all the hype that has been surrounding this company, especially over the last few months, has probably brought more dollars into this company. And I think you are going to see a move higher, a gap up here off of earnings. And I'm going to set the price target here for the move on earnings to be $200. This is the bull case. And I think that this is the more likely outcome that we will see, just because The enthusiasm is here. I think the rubber hits the road. Nvidia will deliver. They will hang the moon. They will thread the needle. They will deliver the perfect report because billions and billions of dollars are flowing into this company. Everybody wants Nvidia chips, and we're going to see a push up to 200. We will see a gap up here. Now, that's just my take. I could be completely wrong, and I'd love to hear what you think is going to happen this earnings report on Wednesday. Drop that down in the comments below, and let's get ready for what is going to be a spectacular, exciting event that is going to drive the market. Will this be the start of a larger dip? Who knows, but we're going to find out here this Wednesday. That is it for today's video. I appreciate you so much. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you back here for the next earnings preview. Make it a great day.